Hey everybody, this is Renae from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So each week I bring to you another fan or group of fans to talk about their journey with the Dave Matthews Band and what that's looked like for 1 year, 2 years, 32 years, whatever their voyage looks like. That's what we're going to talk about. So today is like every other Friday. I have fans, not one, but two fans with me. So guys, introduce yourself. Tell me where you are from and how in the world did you find the Dave Matthews Band?
Hey, thanks for having us. My name's Jon Rutkowski. I'm from a small town in Western Pennsylvania, about 5,000 people. I found Dave Matthews Band in 93 or 94, sometime in there. My dad's brother had four boys who were all very musically inclined: drums, piano, guitar. They were in bands and things, and they came for their summer visit. And they come for a week, and they came and they had, we're listening to music and stuff, and they had this Dave Matthews. So by the end of the week, I'm down at National Record Mart in our Kmart anchored mall, buying a Dave Matthews album, and so that's kind of how I found it. I started going to shows in 1995, just locally, never the Gorge or anything big. Went to Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, kind of where I went to college and where I lived. So yeah, I've been listening to mid 90s, and that's where it all started, and I was hooked from the get-go. So
yeah, and we'll talk about this more in a little bit, but you've really got to see the evolution of the band. I mean, almost from its concept to now, and so I can't wait to hear. I know you've got a lot of great stories because you've been with the band for a lot of years. So who do you have with you?
This is my wife, Miss Lisa Rutkowski, Lisa Ruther. So I'll let her tell her story of how she found the band, and then we'll talk about how we found each other.
That's right.
Hi, I am Lisa Rutkowski. I am Jon's wife, and we're really excited and really appreciate the opportunity to come on the show and talk about our story.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I discovered the band back in early 90s. I was in high school. I graduated in 97, so that's the prime time for discovering Dave Matthews. I remember I got my first CD. It was a single. Don't remember which one it was, but I remember I just had singles, and really started falling in love with them when I got into college. Went to my very first show in 97. So
wow. So you kind of found them and almost immediately were at a show.
Immediately at a show in 97. And then went to my started really kind of touring more so around 99.
Wow.
And
how
from there,
I'm like listening to your story going, okay, I graduated in 97. And then you're like, I immediately went to a show and immediately almost kind of started. I wish I would have been more like you. I did not do that in 97. I was not that cool in 97. I can tell already you are a super cool chick.
She's a cool girl.
Yeah, that's why you married her, right? So talk about, so obviously there was a lot of years that you guys were separate in your journey, if you will. So how did that start coming together? How in the world did you guys meet?
Sure. So I would say I really started touring and seeing them really more frequently. That was probably more around 2010. And then in 2018, I made my very first trek to the Gorge. I went solo, and that is where I really fell in love with the community. I met people. I decided to go to the Gorge by myself. I stayed in the Oasis. I shared a tent with a girl I'd never met. I got picked up at the airport by a girl I had never met. And all these people I had found in the D&B Gorge crew community. And then when I got there, meet up at the tailgate caravan, and, have just eventually, started meeting people and then obsessively really traveling a lot more aggressive. At this time, I was living in California. I joined the DMB singles group, Facebook singles group, and had been on there for about a year. Nothing really happened. And then it wasn't until the day that the band announced that they were going to tour in Europe.
In 2019.
They were touring in 2019. They announced it in 2018. And somebody had started a post in there that had said, there's probably going to be a lot of singles or individuals there. Maybe we should create meetups in all the different countries. And I had just commented, I don't know what country I'm doing, but I know I'm going. And that's kind of where it started. And then I'll let him take it from there.
Yeah, what's the flip story of that?
So, I was at the Gorge the same year with her, but didn't know her, right? So I was in Mexico earlier that year and, met a great couple, Mike and Kathy. They invited me to the Gorge. And then the single, then I'm just like her. I'm getting really back into Dave Matthews. I took some trips. So I see the Europe thing the day they announced it. Well, the day they announced it, like she said, I happened to, from the poster groups or other people telling me, hey, there's this Dave Matthews singles group. And so I joined, as people are commenting, you're clicking on their profile picture, kind of getting a, a little bit bigger of an image. And, I see she comments, I'm really interested in going. And I was like, yeah, let's, and I wanted a travel partner too, right? It's always safe, right? And, I've met people in this community. So I sent her a direct message, DM. I slid into her DMs, and I just said, "You doing Europe?" Not, "Hey, this is John." Nothing like she was expecting to hear from me.
Yes, of course she was. Of course.
That's all he wrote. You doing Europe?
So, what were your thoughts like when you open up this DM, if you will? Like, what were your first thoughts? Like, who is this, or like, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm not friends with him yet, so it's in that secondary section of your chats, right?
Not a priority.
I don't know what section that is, but anyways, I see it and I'm just kind of a little confused because who is this? And how does he know I want to go to Europe?
Right.
Right. And then I click on his name and then I see we have 67 or something people in common. And then you can see they're just kind of groups. And it was like, he's a Dave Matthews fan. And then I see that he is in the singles group and he had joined that day. He had just joined that day.
So did you write him back immediately or did you kind of wait it? I mean, you did your research. You're like, who is he? And then do you reply or do you wait?
No, I replied about 20-some minutes later.
Okay.
And we carried on a conversation very easily, back and forth. I will say prior to, sending the message, I did send a message to a couple of other people that I knew would respond kind of quickly and be like, hey, do you happen to know this guy? Or is he just somebody you're friends with because we're all in the same groups, right? And some people said, I actually know who he is and he's legit and it's okay. And we chatted obsessively that night. And within 24 hours, we had actually agreed to do Europe together.
48 hours.
48 hours. Had agreed to do Europe sight unseen, and just after chatting and talking and agreed to do Europe together.
Wow. Okay. So the next question for me, and I'm getting all of this information, guys, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, I'm listening to this for the first time just with you. So the question begs, like, what's the next step in y'all's relationship? Like, do you say, I need to go meet this guy before I meet this stranger in Europe? What were the next steps for you?
Well, our initial plan was to meet at the Eiffel Tower. That was going to be our very first introduction when we met. Because we did Paris, London, and Amsterdam. Those were the 3 shows that we were doing. And so I was going to arrive into Paris a day earlier than him. But he was going to meet up with me and we were going to meet at the Eiffel Tower. And that was going to kind of be our first little kind of introduction.
Yeah.
But then.
And we had been FaceTiming and stuff, so this is October.
This is October 2018.
We start talking and planning the Europe.
Yeah.
So in December, I've got to travel to LA for work. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina now,
Okay.
and she was in San Jose, California. So I was out in LA for work, and this is like December, first week of December, and December 6th, I think, right?
That was our
Yeah. So she flies down to LA. I got there. I'm at my hotel, and her flight's delayed, but she finally comes, and Uber pulls up, and she knew what hotel that I was staying at, and she gets out of the car, and that was a Friday. We had a nice dinner. We went bowling the next day, went to Hollywood, did all the sights and things. Then Sunday, I'm supposed to fly back to Charlotte, and she's going to fly back to San Jose. Well, it's December, right? And Charlotte gets a freak snowstorm, like 4 inches of snow. My flight's canceled. I call them. They're like, the next flight we can get you home is Wednesday. It's Sunday.
What?
So I'm texting her. Well, she hasn't landed yet in San Jose, California, which is, an hour and a half north flight. And, I'm like, hey, what are you doing till Wednesday? I can't get home. She's like, well, I kind of got to work, but you can come up. So the first meeting turned into a 5-day date. And I finally flew home.
Then our next plan was I was going to Mexico. I was doing the Mexico David.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He had FOMO, and then found him a last minute ticket to get in to come.
Through the Dave group, people. Yeah. She was looking for a female roommate, but she knew Lisa, and Lisa said, "Hey, he's not there to bug you or anything. He's here with me. Would you mind?" And she was kind enough. So I ended up going to Mexico in February. So we had another 5 days together.
So by then you guys really had gotten an opportunity to really get to know each other. I mean, which was perfect before you head off to yes, you went to Mexico and that's a foreign country, but I mean like overseas,
yes, 10 days
big deal. Yes, a big day vacation. So you get to Paris. And you meet up again there, right? Now, so did you do the fairy tale, just like what you had thought, like we're meeting at the top of the Eiffel Tower, or did plans change?
Plans had changed due to his flight changes. So we did that. We ended up going the next day because we had the concert that night. So
I came right to the hotel.
And then we had to go right to the show. We had to go to the show. And then the next day we did do the Eiffel Tower. And at the top of the Eiffel Tower, he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I mean, all because of the Dave Matthews Band, right? I mean, like we're going to chalk it up to that because ultimately that is how you found each other just as friends. That's how you ended up going on these little, other than your work trip, going to Cancun and doing all these things. You would have probably never met each other had it not been for the band. Would you say that?
Absolutely not.
I was on the other side of the country from him.
Exactly. I mean, chances are minimal that you would have ever even met and been friends. But so you go to Europe and then you come back home. What does that look like?
I think before we came back, I think there's a very important step that we
let's go back.
So we're talking about being at the right place at the right time, just meeting her, just that, right? So we do Paris, London, and then there was a strike, and we had to get to Amsterdam. And I was one of those people. We'll just go to the train station in the morning and get our train tickets. Well, the transit system, they had like a strike, right? So we had to buy flights to get there to Amsterdam. So that was a delay. So we're in Amsterdam. We're doing our thing. We get up the one day and. The day of the show. If we would have been 5 minutes out of the house later, we would have missed what I'm going to tell you. If we would have been, or if we made a right instead of a left, right?
Right.
So we come out of a coffee shop, and the whole trip, she's looking at the map. Hey, it's Dave Matthews. Hey, it's Dave Matthews. Like finally, she's like, shut up. We need to figure out where we're going. And I was like, no, Dave Matthews. He was coming out of the Van Gogh Museum with his wife and daughters, all but There is nobody else out in this side street. They're not a bunch of fans. It's just us and him.
What? So what do you do? Do you go up to him or like, what do you do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all wearing, I'm wearing a Dave Matthews hat, sweatshirt, like it's very obvious. And we've got the shit-eating grin on our face, and he's walking towards us, and there's literally nobody else around. And he walks up graciously to us and chatted with us for easily 5 to 10 minutes. His wife was gracious enough to like interrupt and say, "Can I actually take a picture for you guys?"
Yay! How nice.
Absolutely.
So she hands Anne, what's her name? What's his wife's name?
Ashley?
Ashley.
Actually, yeah.
Not that big of a fan.
You're going to want to edit that part out.
She hands Ashley her phone to take the picture, and you know her background is Ashley's husband, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." She's like, "Oh, I see it all the time."
Yes. Yeah, how awkward was that? I'm sure. I mean, like she knows. She knows. She knows.
It was not the first past, but it was a little awkward.
I'm sure. Like, I guess it could have been worse too. Like it could have been one of those like super sweaty, super sexy, or was it? What kind of picture was it?
He was pretty hot.
Yeah, but it was him in his standard black shirt, jeans, and boots.
Okay.
Honest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was a good one. There's not a bad photo of the man. I don't believe that. Okay, so you meet Dave Matthews.
Like we go all the way to Europe, all because of this band, and then there he is, just walking down the road. Later that night, we got to experience rail, which in Europe most people don't really care about rail. So we walked up and the show started, and there was no problem. But it was interesting. We had shared that photo, and there was a girl we were standing next to, and she's like, "You look really familiar to me." I'm like, "I assure you, we don't know each other. We're in another country."
Right.
Like, "No, you look really familiar." And then like 5 minutes later, all of a sudden down there, she was, "Did you meet Dave Matthews today?" I said, "I sure did."
You were famous on the internet because every girl wanted to be you.
We had definitely shared the photo in the DMB family group. So
for sure. I mean, the second after, I'd have been like, "Yeah, here, I'm going to send 20 text messages and put it on every group that I'm in. Look."
yes.
Because people really do care when you meet any of the band, right? Like it's never like one of those things like, "Oh God, you're just bragging." No, like I genuinely am so happy for people when they get a chance to meet someone that they probably follow or spend a lot of their day thinking about, singing with, and so it's a big deal.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is. It's a very exciting moment for anybody who gets to experience meeting some of their favorite musicians.
Yeah. So, and we're going to talk more about y'all's relationship, but since the band is headed back to Europe, and if we have any listeners that are thinking like, I don't know, like, can you give any thoughts on, would you recommend traveling overseas to see the band? And if so, why?
Me personally, I think it's the most special experience I've ever had. It made my connection to the band feel very different. The experiences when you go to these very small venues, it's very personable. The music is louder and the people are quieter and nobody talks. It's amazing. It is like they're there for a performance and they respect the musicians. They don't talk. They're not holding their phones up. They're literally embracing the moment. They stop serving alcohol once the concert starts, and it's a performance, and it's unlike any other experience I've had in the United States. I would prefer to see them in Europe than seeing them in the United States.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It's a very bold statement. But I also feel like I've experienced some of the really cool places in the United States as well. But just from the experience of the way it is in Europe, I would highly suggest find a way to get there.
Cheaper than Mexico, cheaper than the Gorge, to be honest with you. And then you're like, instead of tailgating, you're learning something, you're seeing something iconic in the history. We're going back. So we're going for Italy. We're doing Florence and Milan, and then we're going to have our honeymoon down to the Amalfi Coast and do some alone time down there. But we'll probably see some of our friends, hopefully get some of them to Europe and things. So,
of course,
but yeah.
because even in Europe, you're never alone as a Dave Matthews Band fan, right? Like you make connections in places that you would have never probably made connections if had you gone without the Dave Matthews Band, unless you were with another group of some kind. But it brings like a whole different I guess feeling, right? To not only be in Paris, but like there are people that are walking down the street that you may know, and then also your favorite band is there. Like,
Right.
what a magical feeling to have all of that happening at the same time, right?
Yeah,
It is. It is.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's talk about you guys going back home. So again, you're living across the country from each other. So when you fly back from Europe, you're going to California, you're going to North Carolina. What's next after that?
I had actually, in that time period between December, I had relocated to Florida, relocated to Tampa, Florida, so my family is. And ironically, Jon flew to Tampa every other week for work. His largest client was there. So
Amazing.
again, stars aligning for us to be able to see each other every other week, in my town. And we dated long distance like that for a year. We didn't have any like long-term plans or anything. And then COVID happened.
Yes.
And that's now we fast forward. Now we're February of 2020 and COVID happens and he's living in Charlotte and my boss, we now go on work from home for however long. And I said to her, I said, well, I'm going to go to Charlotte. Let me know when I should be back. I never came back. I never went back.
Never went back to the office.
Never went back to the office. And then I never moved. And then I basically.
You stayed maybe a couple nights in your hotel. Or in your condo and then came back up here.
Yeah. So 6 weeks I stayed in Charlotte. And finally I said, I need to go get some more clothes and things. Maybe I should consider getting out of my lease.
Right.
Right. And very easily able to get out of my lease and relocated to Charlotte. And
so we started looking for a new home. Found a beautiful home. If anybody's familiar with Charlotte, there's the lakes are up north. So we're in Mountain Island Lake. It's kind of out of the city, but close to the 15 minutes we can be there. We bought a home here. I have 2 kids. She is a wonderful stepmother to them. We have this Dave cave, it's very centered. It brought us together. So we keep it important to us. Couldn't be more happy or more blessed. The way everything happened, things happen for a reason. You're in the right place at the right time. Take chances.
Yes. I think you guys can rest assured in the feeling that like your meeting, your marriage, your everything was not by chance. Like it was meant to be. I mean, that there were too many things to line up perfectly in order for your story to happen. But again, like also if the Dave Matthews Band was not something that was in both of your lives, you would have never met either. So, I mean, yeah, you guys definitely have a Dave Matthews Band story that you can really just be so like it's everything to you guys, right? Like it literally is everything. And I think that's such a common story. And again, why I even have this podcast is it's bigger than the music, right? Like I say that all the time. It's way bigger than the music. I mean, the music is what draws us in and what hooked us. But then it's everything that comes with it. And for you guys, marriage came with it. Like what an ultimate prize to get with music. And so there's just so many beautiful, beautiful stories. And of course, your guys is one of them. It's countless stories of things that have happened just because of this band. And so I'm so thankful for the Dave Matthews Band. And that sounds so crazy to anyone who's maybe not a listener or is maybe just like, I've heard of them, but I'm not into their music. It's always good to talk with others who understand, right? Like who totally get it. And so that was the fun in this podcast is, right, just bringing everyone together who shares a common thing, but everyone has come by it so differently, and everyone has a different story, but it's all because of the Dave Matthews Band. So I love this so much. So tell me, guys, what role does Dave Matthews Band still play in your life? I know you said you're going to Europe, and are you guys going to Mexico? And what did 2023 look like for you guys? Obviously, it was such a banner year for the band. 32 years. I think, they killed it on so many levels. So what did this year look like, and what does the future look like for you guys?
Well, 2022, we got engaged at Mexico an hour before they went on stage. We got married in 2023 in February of this year. Of course, there were a lot of parts of our wedding was centered around the band, subtly, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to be subtle.
And then in 2024, we have our honeymoon in Italy, and hopefully continue to travel and see the band and take advantage of while we can, because we recognize and realize that this isn't a forever situation, right? We're not going to have these guys playing our favorite music on a regular basis, and we have to take advantage of it while we can.
And we're not getting any younger either, so.
None of us are, right? And I mean, I always joke that Carter's the age where he can apply for his Medicare benefits. I mean, like, we're all getting there, right? And so we aren't promised another single day. So yeah, I agree. Like, let's do it while we can, because there will be a big portion of our lives where this is just not a part of it, right? But we will always have the memories and the connections that we've made. So let's talk a little bit about the Dave Matthews Band community. What has that looked like for you guys? Obviously, we know you're part of the singles group, and are there any other communities?
We're done with that.
We're
in the Dave Matthews.
That one. Yeah, you're done with that one. So what does community look like for you guys? Where do you continue to make your connections while you're at home? Out of concert season, how do you stay connected with all your buds?
Well, one special couple to us is Mike and Kathy. They live in Virginia. The great couple. I met them in Mexico when I went by myself in 2018. They invited me to the Gorge. We're going to their son's wedding. We've been there for New Year's. They've been down here for Christmas, met my kids. We've met their college age kids.
They were a part of our engagement.
They were a part of our engagement.
Wow.
They were there. They had it all. They helped me set it up. So we've made some, I mean, that's the strongest connection for us. I know you've got some strong ones, but for me, they're my.
And then I would say recently as well, through a friend, Stephanie Woelfel, she inspired me. She has really gotten into the tiny home community, and I had been watching her get into that. And I just recently this year purchased my first investment property, and we named it Stay a While.
I love that. Where did that have come from?
But I met her at the Gorge. She introduced herself to me at the tailgate caravan event that they had put on, and they kind of took me in under the wings. They knew I was there by myself, and then they invited me to go to the Hollywood show with them. And we've stayed friends throughout the years, and seeing them at Mexico, and then just her inspiring me with her, tiny home stuff. And so we've got some really great connections and friendships that we still continue, that we never would have had without this band.
Right. All because of a band. It's wild and amazing at the same time, right? It's just crazy if you think about it, but also so exciting and so wonderful. So guys, if you're listening to this and you do not have a sense of community, or if you have just never met friends at a concert, there are ways to get connected. And these groups often do meetups before shows, or even meetups that are not inside concert season. So I know we've got a big Ohio group that does like a winter get together. So they get together around Christmas, and it's a good time to see all the people that we love and we only get to see during Dave Matthews Band. So what are some communities that you want to give out a shout out to that have really kind of, I guess, elevated your fan experience? Are y'all part of poster groups, or of course you mentioned the tailgate caravan? That's a huge one. People love that. And let's give a shout out to the couch, the D&B couch people.
Yeah,
Wow.
Wow,
Yes.
right? Like that is an amazing one. And if you don't know about that, that's a Facebook page that simply has volunteers that are at the show to kind of donate their time and their muscles, if you will, to stream the show live from just about any show that you can think of. I'm sure that when you guys go to Europe, there's going to be streamers there casting it over to all of the fans. And so what an amazing fan thing to do to help other fans. And I think that this fan base continuously does things like that, like always making sure that other people have a great experience along with them too. I mean, it's the greatest group of people. Of course, there are a few assholes. I'll say that out loud. I sure will. But for the most part, there's amazing people who really do want to make sure, again, that everyone is enjoying their fanhood to their best. So what are some ways that you found on social media that kind of help elevate your experience?
You're going to talk about posters.
Yeah, I mean, the posters are kind of fun, right? Like,
yeah,
we have about 80 of them.
Yeah, we got under the couch, in frames, in the closet, still not up. I mean, just at Mexico, everybody gets out to the pool, 10, 11. Well, the merch tent opens at like 10 a.m., but everybody gets there at 5 or 6, right? Like,
yeah,
you just meet some cool people there talking to, and you're talking about what shows you've been to and what venues were good, or, you just learn about people, where they're from, what do they do for work. And definitely met some interesting people, waiting to get that shiny paper. And,
yes.
she's like, where were you? I was getting posters.
Yeah. The poster line is intense, but you can meet some amazing people on that poster line.
And then even at Mexico or some of the meetups, like even at Gorge, where people meet up and do the exchanges of tchotchkes, right? Various different art things that they've made. And this is one of my stickers that I got. It's Mr. Dave Matthews.
I love that. You cannot have enough Dave Matthews stickers, like from his face. Like, you just put it on everything. I know that there's a lot of craft groups that do like the stickers, but then there's also jewelry. I mean, there's an unlimited amount of money that you can spend on the Dave Matthews Band swag, but also you have to look at it as you're supporting local businesses, small little local businesses. You're helping support other fans, feed their kids and or maybe just go to additional concerts. And so, I feel good when I purchase those things from other people because it helps me, but it also helps them. And so there's just unlimited ways that we can kind of help support each other. And again, the Dave Matthews Band community is such a great group of people. All right, guys. So if you are listening to this on a podcast app, just know that if you would like to watch it, we have a YouTube channel. It's simply called The Space Between Podcast. And that way you can see Lisa and John's face, but also you can see their really cool posters that are behind them. There's a couple of really cool ones. So before we leave, guys, I want you to tell me, I can see 3 posters behind you. For those guys that are watching on our YouTube channel, tell us where those are from right quick.
So my side this is Charlotte, North Carolina, and these are both Charlotte for me. But this is one of my most favorites. There's an iconic restaurant in town, and that's their sign, and it usually says burgers 2 for $5. It's an old time dive place, and they got the show and location on it.
And then this one is Chicago from 2011 from the caravan that they did.
Yes.
This is Dave and Tim Reynolds from Vegas in 2010.
Oh, wow.
At the Hollywood.
Now, what is the second North Carolina one?
It's Charlotte as well. It's from 2009. So it was a show I was at. This is 2009 and this is 2012. Okay. So I moved to Charlotte in 2007. So been trying to go every year when they're around here. Or, now they're doing Charleston for 2 nights, which is a tennis arena, super small. Yes. You guys got to check that out. That's a great one. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like North Carolina in general really gets Dave every year, right? Like, oh, there's more posters. Oh my.
It just keeps going and going.
Wow. Wow. What a
And all
collection
that,
of memories.
this whole wall that we just showed you was our first year of dating and all the trips that we did from Mexico and Europe and then Florida, Tampa,
West Palm, Charlotte, you know.
Oh my God. I mean, that I love. What is the one right behind you, Jon? It's a long poster.
Oh, that's the Gorge.
That's the Gorge,
Okay.
the record,
2018.
the record one.
I can't really see the details. Oh, wow. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's really nice. So, guys, yeah. Oh, I see now that it's a record. It was hard for me because I've never seen that one before. I don't remember it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
see
it's
now
a
that it is.
record of the whole Gorge.
Oh, wow. That is
Yeah.
amazing. Who is the artist on that one? Do you know?
James Eats.
James Eads, you're right.
Wow, that is beautiful. Guys, you have to be sure to check out this YouTube video because if you've never seen that poster, it's really cool because I think from my point of view, it kind of looked like a valley, like with mountains. And maybe I'm just telling you what I saw. I don't know if that's what's happening, but then you get closer and it's a record.
Yeah, it's a record, and that's the Gorge on the inside of it. And
With the mountain around it.
Okay, so that does make sense what I was saying. I'm not just seeing things.
Middle of a record player is the stage.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And what year was that?
This was 2018.
Yep.
Oh, okay, 2018, so not that long ago. I just went to the Gorge my very first time this year. So, you know, I think you would probably agree. You have to go at least once if you're a big Dave Matthews Band fan. I think that the scenery there was amazing. Like, I don't think you're going to find that really anyplace else. But then also, everyone told me that the music would be different. And I was like, okay, we'll see. It was different. I mean, like, it was great. And it was like all the songs we knew, but then there was shit that he threw in there that I was like, what? And, you know, the Gorge is amazing. So yeah, I totally recommend it. I'm not a camper. Next time I go back, I will be in like some kind of like condo or something, but I had to do it to see if I liked it. Yes, we talked about that. That's right. Like, I was like, y'all, I'm never going back. And you said, Jon, like, wait, there's places.
Yeah.
Mexico's
more my speed.
I think that I will like that. I just have to get there one day. So, you know, it's going to happen. It's on my list, but I got to hurry, right? Because like we've said, tomorrow's not promised, right? Like, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know if they'll ever go back. I don't know. But guys, thank you so much for being willing to share your story. You have an amazing story, one that's kind of like literally all over the world to make this happen. And again, just because of two people loving the same band, all of this happened. And now you guys are married and you're happy and you've got your house full of Dave Matthews Band memories, but then also like you've combined families. I mean, lives have changed truly because of the Dave Matthews Band. And so again, that's the story that I'm telling each week. So if you have a cool DMB journey that you would like to share with everyone else, please message me on any of the social medias, or you can email me at kissonthelipsmeyer@gmail.com. So Jon, Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. I think everyone's going to get a kick out of your story for those that have not heard it. I know you guys are, you know, so many people, but I think that there are a lot of listeners that have never heard your story. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And guys, be sure to continue listening. Each week I bring on a different fan. And so you can get that free on any podcast app, or of course you can watch it for free on YouTube, just simply by checking out the Space Between podcasts. And if you do, I'm going to say the thing that every 17-year-old on YouTube says, be sure to like and subscribe, because apparently that really is important, guys. So be sure to do that for me at the Space Between podcast. Again, Lisa, Jon, thank you so much. Guys, stay tuned. And like I always say, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you, guys.